Thank you, Janet, for that warm introduction. I'm so delighted and privileged to be with YBPW, the Young Business and Professional Women. As far as I can remember, I think this is my second time to speak to the Young BPW, and I'm truly delighted and always delighted every time I'm given an opportunity to share an experience or share a lesson that I think can help and empower someone. Because my personal life mission is to inspire and empower people to become the best version of themselves. That has become something that I hold so near and dear to my heart, because I truly believe that if all of us became the best that we can be, this world, this country would become a better place. So all that it takes is for you and I to become better at what we are doing. If you are working as an ED in a certain company, be the best. Whatever I am doing, be the best. And whatever someone else is doing, let them be the best. At the end of the day, we shall take this country to the next level. That is what I aspire to do. And so today, I would like to share with you about my thoughts about leadership in crisis. Janet has already presented almost half of this, has already made almost half of this presentation. So my work has been made extremely easy. The first thing I would like us to reflect about as we think about leading through a crisis, especially this particular crisis, because I'm reminded of how the world changed overnight. You know, I had never seen this in my life. I still remember where I was on March 8th. March 8th, I remember, was a Sunday. It was Women's Day. I woke up, we went to church because we were receiving a new bishop. You know, we were all there. The church was full. There was nothing like social distancing. In fact, that term was still alien. No one knew anything close to that terminology. Mask, nobody was putting on a mask. Life was good. Then later on, I remember we had a conference in the afternoon where we were quite a number, about 200 of us in one room at Imperial Royal. 10 days later, everything was upside down. The world changed overnight. I'm finding it hard to move my screen. Let me just stop share and I pick it up again. So please bear with me. This happens sometimes. Yes, so the world changed overnight. And as you can see, that is a ship in the middle of a storm. And I think to some degree, that explains what most and many of us have been going through over the last few months. I have interfaced people that today are either on half or no salary. As I talk about this right now, my heart goes out to people like teachers, you know, people who, for the past how many months, quite a number of months, some of them are not being paid. I sit on a board of a school where we sat in the middle of the lockdown. This was around May. And the head teacher told us, you know, we have no money to pay our staff. So what do you advise me to do? At the end of the day, she had to write a letter and say, it's okay, you are still retained as staff, but until we reopen, that's when we can be able to pay your salaries. And you see, you can't blame her, because what could she do? I know many people that have lost their jobs. People whose businesses have been grossly affected. Now, of course, you know these things, so I don't want to even dwell so much on them. But also we see a situation where people have been stretched beyond the limits. You find that in some companies, a department that had 10 people has been reduced to 2. So the 2 people are the one to do the work that 10 people used to do. How do you respond to situations like that? You know, people's hope and optimism have vanished. You know, when this year began, people used to speak 2020 with an accent, you know, 2020. Today, it's no longer 2020, it's now 2020, you know, because things became tough. Things became wild, you know. So the question is, how do I stay sane amidst this crisis? How do you stay sane? Life has gone upside down, tables have turned, life has, you know, things have literally changed. I had never seen this in my life of 34 years. I had never seen this. How do you respond to a crisis? How do you stay sane amidst this crisis? And I just want to impress upon you, and I'm glad that we are having leadership series, because you are a leader not because of the position or title that you hold. I hope by now you know this, that regardless of who you are, you can choose to be a leader. Because leaders, like Janet mentioned earlier, leaders are not born, they are made. They become. You become a leader by doing certain things. And the thing about leaders is that they are different. One of the birds that I admire is the eagle. And that's what simply says that during a storm, all birds find shelter during a rain, but the eagle avoids rain by flying above the clouds. And in fact, it is during a storm that the wing of the eagle grows to its maximum length. So think about this. If we are going to be leaders, we have to be different. We cannot afford to do what other people are doing because we are leaders. We are the pace setters. We are the drivers. We are the ones at the front. People are watching us. So wherever you are, how are you responding to this crisis? What matters most in a crisis is not the crisis. What matters most is you. It's not the crisis. It is you that counts. Okay? Because the same crisis happens to all of us. The whole world has been affected. But some people are responding differently. You know why? It's not because of the crisis. Because the crisis is affecting everybody. It is because of the individual. So what matters most in a crisis is not the crisis. It is you, the person. So how can you be that person that is going to rise above the storm and soar like an eagle? How can you become better at the end of it all? I would like to share a few thoughts. And the first thing I would like to recommend is be change friendly. Be change friendly. What do I mean? You can choose to go back to your old ways, or you can choose to make a change. I think we are at the threshold of a very significant period. And I just want to say, we either change or we perish. We are at crossroads right now where we have to make a choice. And that just reminds me of what happens in the Masai Mara. You know, in the Masai Mara, one of the most special events in the Mara is the migration of the wildebeests. Okay, those animals are called wildebeests. Now, what happens is that the Mara moves across the national park. Now, on one side of the Masai Mara, these animals realize that the grass has stopped growing, so they have to cross the river. Because if they do not cross the river, they will stop breeding, they will perish, and they will all be wiped out. So the animals understand that now we have to change. We have to move and cross the river. The challenge with crossing that river is one. There are crocodiles in that river. So the animals come and stand by the shore of the river. All of them are staring in the water. No one wants to cross, but they have to cross. Until one person, the leader, takes the initiative to dive into the water. It is so risky because the first in the pool, the first in the water might be the one who is swallowed by the crocodile. But someone has to make that move. Someone has to make that change. Someone has to take that step. Otherwise, the whole clan will perish. I think we are at that place right now. I think there are certain things that we need to change. And if we do not change them, if you and I do not change, let me tell you, people are going to stay behind. So we have to make a choice right now. We are like that leader of the wildebeest who is jumping into the water, well knowing that he might be swallowed up by a crocodile. But he knows that if he does not make that move, all the people behind him will perish. What do you choose to do? COVID has changed the world. The world will never be the same again. I promise you this. The world will never be the same again. Who knew that we'd be having meetings like this right now? I'm sure if this was the old world, probably would be at Katikati where we met the first time. You know? But now we are here. There are so many attributes that have come in the last 4 months that I promise you will not go away. We just have to change. The only constant in life is change. This has been demystified through this period because all of us appreciate that, you know, we used to talk about change. You're like, yeah, change happens. But now we have seen, in our lifetime, we have seen something that has transformed the world. You know, the only thing something close to this happened was in the year 2001. I remember I was in Form 3. That is when Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden, bombed the United States. That's the only time I remember the world came to a standstill. That's when there were no planes allowed to fly in the sky across the United States airspace. The only other time that the airspace has been shut is because of COVID. What does that mean? If we do not make certain moves right now, you will be left behind for the next 50 years. This is a very pivotal time in the history of the world because things are changing. So if you do not change with change, you will be left behind. If we don't change, we don't grow. That's it. If we don't change, we don't grow. Is it easy? No. Is it risky? Yes. Is it possible? Absolutely. It is during times of change that progress is achieved. If you do not change, you will not progress. So we have to be flexible. We have to be teachable. We have to learn new ways of doing things. You just have to do that. You know, we had to learn how to use Zoom. We had to learn how to adapt to all these things. There is no turning back. So the world has changed and we just have to change with it. You have to be the leader that makes the first move. So it's not the wisest, just like Charles Darwin said in the wilderness, it's not the wisest or the strongest of the species that survive. No, it is the ones that are most responsive to change. It's not about the wisest. Let me tell you today, some big companies are going to be wiped out of the market. That is if they are not yet wiped out. Why? Because there are small players that are coming up. They are mushrooming. They are in their garages right now. They are thinking. They are observing the environment and saying, what can we do to position ourselves? Let me tell you, if some companies do not change, they are going to be overtaken by the small guys. Because today, the battle of the business is not between the big and the small. No, it is between the fast and the slow. So are you responsive to change? Whatever you do, don't be left behind. So be change friendly. This is the time to look at change in the face and do it. The second thing that we need to do is to take responsibility. Now, I'm not saying you take responsibility for COVID because you're not the one who caused it, okay? No. What I'm talking about here is that leaders respond differently. What do I mean? Responsibility is your ability to respond. How do you respond? It is okay for a ship to be on water, but it is not okay. It is dangerous for the water to be in the ship. Yes, all of us are in the same situation. All of us, are facing the same crisis. Yes, it is okay for the ship to be on water, but it is not okay for the water to be on the ship. So don't let the crisis get into you. You may be in the crisis, but don't let the crisis get into you. You have to protect yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's not what happens to you that matters. It is how you respond to what happens. In fact, they say that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond. So it's not what happens that matters, because what happens to you happens to everybody. But it is how you choose to respond. The response is your choice. Just like you see that equation. E plus R equals O. Now you're thinking, okay, I survived mathematics. It has followed me up. But it's okay, where E means events. So when an event happens, the R is how you respond. Now the O is the outcome. Take an example. COVID came, some businesses were closed, but others said, wait a minute. There is an opportunity here. There are so many things that are coming up. There is online deliveries. There is this. Let's position ourselves to do business in this era. So the response is going to change the outcome. It is not the event that determines, it is how you respond to the event that determines the outcome, not the event itself. So we need to take responsibility. And as ladies, I would like to just share 3 things that you need to take responsibility for. The first is take responsibility for your personal safety. In other words, stay alive. Because look, let's face it, if you die, then really, then we have lost. This talk is meaningless. So whatever you do, stay alive. When we had just started the lockdown, people were more cautious. Today, people have become complacent. People come out of their houses without a mask. People are high-fiving. People are hugging. No sanitizing. We are literally surviving by the grace of God. Friends, let us stay alive. Let us do our response. Let us do our part to stay alive. Mind your safety, your personal safety. Because at the end of the day, we want you alive. In fact, Jack Ma said, for you, if you run a business, the best profit you can make this year is to stay alive. First put aside the balance sheet in the business. For you, for starters, if you run a business, your biggest profit this year is to stay alive. Because if you die, some of us here are sole proprietors. You are the ED of the business, you are the accountant, you are the human resource, you are the one still running your business because it is still at a startup. Now, if you die, then what will happen? So personal safety, stay alive. Most importantly, mind all the directives that they are giving us. But I think in addition to that, boost your immunity. Boost your immunity. Take that vitamin C. Like, be serious about your safety. Some people are not caring at all. People are not minding. You know, this thing hit me hard when I saw a death announcement, and now on the announcement they said this person who was quite a businessman, quite, you know, fundamental businessman in the city, died of COVID. I said, wait a minute, this thing has now reached us. This thing is here. So people, let us stay safe. Boost your immunity. Boost it, because I know someone who tested positive. They went and used vitamin C and took zinc. 2 weeks later, they tested negative. So what that simply means is that if you can be intentional on boosting your personal health, God forbid, if that virus comes to you, you will have the ability to fight it. So please mind your personal safety. I wouldn't want to take it more than that. The second thing is mind your personal attitude. Take responsibility for your attitude. Stay positive. Stay positive. Stay optimistic. Stay hopeful. You know, stay positive. Stay positive. I will share with you how you can do that later. But for now, mind your personal attitude. Don't be among the naysayers. Don't be among the people that are broadcasting negative news. No, bring hope to the community. Life can be better. This is not the end of it, but stay positive. Then the last thing you can take responsibility for is your personal growth. Let me tell you, whatever you do, stay relevant. Don't be irrelevant, because if you're irrelevant, your company will push you out. This is the time for you to acquire the skills that your organization needs to go to the next level. And if you can become that sought after person, the company will keep you. But if they notice that you're no longer relevant, they will push you out. After all, they are cutting costs. So stay relevant. This is the time not to be like others. This is the time to stand out. And if everyone stands up, then you become outstanding. You know, so be relevant. So take personal responsibility. The third thing is discover and explore. Let me tell you something about COVID. This has been an amazing time. I have seen things I had not seen before. People have got to discover themselves in ways they did not even know. And because of that, they have been able to see opportunity in the midst of crisis. Why? Because of discovery and exploration. Do you remember the Stone Age, where they said they first discovered fire, and then after discovering fire, they discovered metals, you know, and then the iron thing started coming up? The way that happened is the way COVID has made people discover talents they did not know they had. This has been an opportunity for exploration and self-discovery. Let me ask you, now this is where we go to the chat. Phoebe, are you ready? Phoebe, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so ladies, I would like you to answer for me this question. During this time, what have you discovered about yourself that you didn't know? Let me give you an example. There are people who had talent of cooking, but for some reason they had never tried. All of a sudden they realize, my goodness, I can actually bake cakes. You know, for the longest of time, we used to eat bread from the supermarket. Now, for the first time ever since we started a family with my wife, we ate bread made from home. Can you imagine? So people have discovered things about themselves that they did not know. So I want to hear from you. What have you discovered about yourself during this period? Please type in the chat. I want to hear from you. Phoebe, any comments?
Yes, someone says, I discovered that I can multitask very fast.
Okay.
That's Daphne. Then Monica says that I am stronger than I thought, that I can venture out into different fields like business development.
Okay.
Then I see Cindy says, I discovered that I can actually read a book past the first 10 pages.
Okay. Okay, even if you stop there for now, there is a picture of a teacher who, I think after schools closed and they did not see the light at the end of the tunnel, they said, you know what, let me be doing something. Then they went, I think they started they decided selling something, either charcoal or something. Then the person said, catch me again in class. Catch me again in class. Why? Because I didn't know that all along I could do something with myself. It has been such an amazing opportunity because of that simple thing called DIY, do it yourself. You know, for instance, personally, I always wanted to put out short videos online. But for some reason, I used to discount myself. I thought it's such an expensive venture. I would need a camera. I would need video editing. I said, who has time for this? When COVID came, my wife had always been telling me, but honey, you need to put out some videos. People need to see what you're all about because you have good messages, but no one is hearing you out. Then for some, I said, you know what, let me give this thing a try. So I used the phone that we have, the phones that we used to, you see chicken running after each other and you record that video. Why not put the phone on yourself and you record yourself sending a message to the world? So I put that video now on me and I started sharing out some messages. Then I found someone to teach me how to edit because I went looking for a professional video. These people who do videography, they were charging me 500,000 for a short 5-minute clip. I said, wait, did you hear what I said? I said, I just want you to edit for me a short video. I will try to speak so that you don't have to edit, just cut at the beginning and cut at the end. And then he said, yes, I understand. 500,000. I said, now I either drop the dream or I keep on with my passion. I had to learn how to do it myself. Today, I have uploaded close to 30 videos on YouTube, all done by myself, done and edited. You do it yourself. People have discovered talents that they did not know. How can you use these discoveries to position yourself and start multiple income streams? Ladies, we cannot afford to sit back and keep on a salary. Those days are over. If COVID has not taught you that, then I don't know what will teach you. I honestly do not know. If we have not understood that we need to have multiple income streams, if we have not understood that we need to save like crazy, then I don't know what is going to teach us. So let's use these discoveries to build additional streams of income. Opportunities have come through COVID, amazing opportunities that nobody even knew that these things would happen. So what new opportunities has COVID brought? I wish we could carry on this conversation, but let me move on. I would like you to go and think about that because you remember in mathematics, we used to say, solve the problem, find the value of X. Let me tell you, this is the time to solve your problem. This is the time to find your value, the value of X where X is you. You need to find your personal value and ask yourself, what problems are around the world today? How can I be a solution to the world? I used to fear Facebook. Like I would go to do a post and man, I would not even post sometimes. Then I realized COVID has come. It has made the world central. It has brought all of us to the same pedestal. If no one is watching you, hearing you, and knowing what you're all about, you're going to be lost in the crowd. We have to get up and get moving. So discovery time has been such an amazing opportunity for most people. I hope you continue to discover yourself. The fourth thing and the last thing is get your priorities right. And I don't want to labor so much here because Janet had already pointed it out. As ladies, we need to prioritize. Life has seasons. We need to be sensitive to the seasons in your life. Let me say a little bit more about this because I think for me, this describes me. Right now, today, I'm married. My wife is called Diana. We have 2 little girls, Ruby, who is 3, and Moriah, who is 1. Now, 7 years ago, I was not married. I had all the time to do things. I was part of things. I was leading this. I was attending every association meeting. I was doing. Now, the challenge people do not realize is that seasons come and that demands that you change and shift your priorities. In fact, today, right now, as I speak to you, my wife has got a group of friends that she does a book study with. So for her, she values time with her children, with our children. So one of them had proposed that they should go and spend the whole day. She said, that cannot work for me. That cannot work for me because how do I leave my 2 babies the whole day? That cannot work for me because right now, this is the season to be with the children. Let me tell you, let me not get ahead of myself, but you need to be sensitive to the seasons in your life. Maybe you have just recently got married. Now, that season has come. The challenge with most people is that they do not realize that seasons have changed. The challenge is that people are married and they still want to live like they were when they were single. You still want to go and hang out with the girls, party after party, but now you have a family. Seasons have changed. You did that when you were not yet married. Now you're married. The challenge today, someone said, is that single people want to live like married people and married people want to live like single people. Why? Because we are not sensitive to the seasons. If you want to win, focus on what's important now. Like what is important now as we speak today, the 19th of September. what is important in your life. What is important? Focus on things that matter, not things that don't matter. Be efficient with your time. Focus on the things that only you can do. You know, there are things which you can only do. For example, you cannot hire someone to do push-ups for you. That's for you now. That's you and your health. Okay, you cannot hire somebody. You cannot delegate certain things. But there are also things which you can delegate. So identify what needs to be now. Identify what can wait. Identify what you can do as you do other things. Things which you can multitask. You need to be efficient. We need to be efficient with our time. I think all Africa needs, by the way, is a mindset change as far as time is concerned. So to avoid burnout, I strongly recommend the CDM approach, where C is coach. Learn how to coach. Learn how to delegate. And then motivate the people you delegate to do the tasks, because you cannot run around doing everything. The way Janet was saying, you sit on a board, you are working somewhere, you have a side business, then you are the one to, you're going to break. So prioritize. Janet had already talked about the big rocks, and that's exactly what she was meaning, that if you have big rocks, you have little rocks, you have sand. If it is time to put them in that tin, if for you, you say, let me begin with the sand. At the end of the day, the things that matter, the big rocks, will not have where to go. So we need to start with the big rocks first, put in the small stones next, and then the sand. The small things will always find time or schedule in your life. Those other small things, you can even do them on the go. There are things which you don't have to do fast. You have certain important things in your life. Do them fast. So you need to identify your big rocks. What are the big rocks in your life? Because those are the things to consider. Those are the things to concentrate upon. Okay? At the end of the day, if the big rocks don't get in fast, they are not going to fit in later. So you may be asking, what are the big rocks? There is something I call the wheel of life, and you can look at this deeper at a later stage. But those are areas in your life that you need to be constantly thinking about. How am I doing with my financial? Am I saving? Do I have a budget? Or I am an impulse buyer? Okay? How am I doing with my spiritual well-being? Or what use is it for you to gain the whole world and then lose your soul? Physical. Are you doing some physicals? Gyms are closed. People also did not realize that they can do their physical activities at home. I do my push-ups at home. I do my sit-ups. I have a rope, which I bought on the street. Now I use it to skip, and I am so healthy. I feel great. I don't have to go and pay a lot of money to a gym. I can do it in my house. All I need is self-discipline. What about your intellectual ability? Are you the one that keeps listening to these things where they say, is that what you're feeding on? What about your family? Are you spending time with your family? Are you building strong family bonds? Because let me tell you, by the way, being married to someone does not guarantee that you're friends. Let me say that again. Being married to somebody is not a guarantee that you two are friends. Or having children is not a guarantee that you are friends. No. There are people who are in the same family, same roof. They are siblings, but they are so apart. You don't know what's happening in each other's lives. And yet you have all the time to do certain things that don't matter, So what about your social? Are you investing in meaningful friends? And when I talk about social, I don't mean acquaintances. I mean genuine and true friends. And let me tell you something, you can never be effective with many friends. In fact, if you have many, they are not friends. They are merely acquaintances. Then your career. You need to build your career, invest in your career. So this is the wheel of life we are talking about. These are the big rocks. These other small things can always find their space after the big rocks. Okay? Great. And I have a warning for you before I finish. The first warning is this. Don't compare yourself to people who do not have the same values. Did you hear that? Don't compare yourself to people who do not have the same values. Why is this important? Listen to this. If for you, your value is, now that this is a season when my children are young, that's good. You have friends who do not have that value. For them, they say, after all, were we with our parents all the time? Didn't we grow? So for them, they want to go and hang out, enjoy party after party. That's okay. For you, if your value is to parent, please, whatever you do, keep this at the back of your mind, that there are people who do not have the same values. So don't compare yourself to them, because you will not approach life the same way. Your value systems are different. I had to accept that. There are things I had to say. Today, there are people who are always taking up positions. But I said, you know what, for now, I cannot do certain things. Why? Because right now, for me, my priority is my family and my work, period. And of course, my God, period. Anything else comes after those three, because I have to build bonds with my family. Otherwise, I will make all the money, and 20 years from now, we shall be far apart. I don't want that to happen. So what is your value system? Don't compare yourself to people who do not have the same values. There are people who get into organizations, they pull ropes, they do this and this. Within a year or two, they have built a house. You don't know how they built it. You don't know how they built it. For you, you value honesty and integrity. You value hard work. Someone else does not value that. They value cutting corners. Within a year, they have built a house. They are driving the latest number plate, UBG. You're still on UA what? And they are looking at you and they are saying, do you live in this country or you live somewhere else? Please, don't compare yourself to people who do not have the same values. Number two, don't compare yourself to people who do not have the same commitments like you. There are people who don't have the commitments that you have. There are people who retired. Now you're also comparing yourself to them. They have all the time. They retired. Hello, you're still working. There are people who have just left campus. They are still at large. They are still, they can go wherever they want to go. For you, you are now engaged. You're busy. Don't compare yourself to people who do not have the same commitments. Let them go. You go and do your things. Number three, don't compare yourself to people who do not have the same vision. There are some people who do not have the visions that you have. 5 years from now, you want to be top of your organization. Look, there are certain sacrifices that you have to make that people who do not have that vision will not make. When they see you making those sacrifices, they'll look at you and wonder, are you okay? Are you crazy? Really? You're going for further studies for what? Because we don't have the same vision. So don't compare yourself to people who do not have the same value system, the same commitments, and the same vision. As I finish, a small recap. Number one, be change friendly. Number two, take responsibility. Number three, discover and explore. Number four, prioritize, extremely key. And as I finish, 4 final thoughts. One, refuse to be defeated. Yes, being challenged in life is inevitable. That's okay. All of us are challenged. All of us are facing these issues. Yes, but being defeated is an option. So refuse to be defeated. Refuse, don't accept, fight. You understand? Fight for your life. Fight as if your life depends on this. Fight, refuse. Don't, refuse to be defeated. Refuse, don't give in, don't give up. Refuse to be defeated. Say, I will not die in my movie. I will fight until the end. God being my helper, I will come out of this thing alive and I will go to the next level. Refuse to be defeated. You need to decide right now that you're not going to give in. Number two, refuse to be stressed. Yeah, don't be stressed. You have a choice. You have a choice, okay? Don't let anyone tell you you don't have a choice. You have a choice to refuse to be stressed. How? I want to recommend a sip that you can take on a daily basis. A sip, where S means spiritual. Connect with your God every day you wake up. Because let me tell you something. There is someone who woke up today the way you did. Okay, how many are we right now? We are 40. There is someone who woke up, all of us, the 40 of us here. There is someone who woke up the way you did. But as we speak right now, they are being taken to the mortuary. Yes, they are being taken to the mortuary. Why? Because they haven't made it up to this hour. What time is it? Close to 11. They haven't made it. But you need to thank God for your life. We cannot take anything lightly. At least for COVID, thank God that you're still alive. Do you know how many people have died and you're still here, you're complaining? You need to thank God. Intellectual, build your intellectual ability. Read books, listen to some uplifting audios. Watch some great videos. Don't read trash. You wake up in the morning, you're looking at news of who died over the night. You're looking at the building that fell on people. You're looking at the man that lost his senses and shot everybody in the trading center. Come on, how are you going to sleep and how will you wake up? Life is already hard. Don't make it harder for yourself. Okay? So feed your mind with something that is going to help you to become a better person. Because whatever happens in your life begins in the mind. If you don't change your mind, you will not change your life. Even God says, let your life be transformed by the renewing of your mind. For things to change in your life, they must first change in your mind. And lastly, the P, physical. Do some physical. Do it. It helps you to feel good. Physicals are good. Why? Because they release endorphins into the bloodstream. You feel happy, you feel okay. Even if things are not happening for you in your world, you are okay. Remember, we said it's okay for the ship to be on water, but it's not okay for water to be in that ship. So what you do, work on yourself. Get a rope and jump at home. 1, 2, 3, up to 50. Go tomorrow up to 55. The other day, go up to 100. Just do it at home. If you cannot do it in the gym, now that they are closed, do it in your house, where you don't even pay any gym subscription, but you can do it with self-discipline. The only price you pay is self-discipline. So what I'm literally saying is, start your day before the day starts. Start your day before the day starts. Why? Because when the day starts, it's too late to start. By the time, recently, I follow sport, and talking to ladies, I know that may not be something quite familiar, but I will use an example that I hope you can relate to. The top 2 countries in athletics are US and Jamaica for the longest of time. So I was watching this replay where, in this particular race, Jamaica was up against the US. Now, in a relay, this is where you run 100 meters, then you pass on the baton to the next person, until one person runs and finishes the race. Now, for this particular time, for the first time, the US was ahead of Jamaica until they gave the baton to Usain Bolt, who is the fastest man on the planet. You should have watched that. Much as the US had the advantage, Jamaica had the head start. Why? Because they gave the baton to the fastest man on the planet. And indeed, for sure, they won that race. Why? Because they got a head start. If you want to refuse to be stressed, get a head start. Take a sip, spiritual, connect with your God, pray, intellectual, feed your mind, be positive, uplift yourself. Physical, be strong. Your physical strength has something to show on the inside. It shows that there is something happening on the inside. Sometimes you can tell someone by their handshake. Nowadays, we don't shake hands, but you can tell someone's emotional energy by the strength of their handshake. So be strong. You need to be healthy in order for you to survive through this crisis. And not only survive, but also thrive. And number 3, don't refuse to waste this crisis. I pity people who are saying, let's wait for COVID to go. My friend, you are wasting your life. The time, by the way, let me tell you this. Like I said earlier on, I enjoy watching sport, not for entertainment, for education and inspiration. When a soccer game starts, the clock starts ticking. If you waste the time, that's your problem. Your clock is ticking. It is ticking. If it clocks 90 minutes, the game is over. You waste your time, but the 90 minutes are coming. What am I saying? This crisis has not put a pause on your life. No, your life is not on pause. We are still growing. And by the way, the end of our life does not push. It is us who grow towards the end. So don't waste this crisis. Life is happening. It is not like we are on pause. There is no pause button for life. Life has 2 buttons, start and stop. There is no pause. So refuse to waste this crisis. Like Churchill said, never let a good crisis go to waste. Don't waste it. Do something with it. At least you just swim with it. Okay? You just swim with it. Like this lady who, remember that that boat cruise? There's this lady who said, for me, all I did, I just kept flapping my legs, hoping that somehow someone, somewhere can see me and come to my rescue. And that's what happened. She couldn't swim. All she did, she just saw what other people do in the pool. She just started flapping her legs as hard as she could, hoping that somehow someone, somewhere can see her and come to her rescue. That's how she survived and lived to tell that story. Refuse to waste this crisis. Keep afloat. Don't sink. Last but not least, refuse to get bitter. Don't get bitter. Get better. Don't come out of this thing bitter. Come out better. That is what matters most. Great. So I have some few reflections for you as I come to the close. Number 1, I want you to write. If you have a notebook, write in your book. If you don't have a notebook, write in the chat. What has been your major highlight from this session? I've spoken to you now for 39 minutes and 24 seconds. So what has been your major highlight from this session? Because what matters most is not what I said. It's what you took away. So, a moment of reflection. I will give you 30 seconds beginning now. Yeah, great. I like the silence. It was so loud. Number 2. What are you going to do about it? I'll give you another 20 seconds. All right, great. So, last but not least, nothing changes until you do. For things to change, you have to change. So, identify what you're going to do differently, get moving, get going, get started. Because at the end of the day, if things are going to change, you have to change. Nothing changes until you do. Feel free to connect with me on my social media channels. Remember my YouTube channel, which I did. If this one was had these labels of made in, I would say this one would be made in Chisasi, because this one I did not pay anybody. I feel so fulfilled every time I just look at this channel because I can see the power of DIY. Do it yourself. Who told you that you cannot be a videographer? I had to teach myself how to edit. I get amazed every time I do it. Facebook and on Twitter. And it's been my pleasure, my privilege, and my ultimate delight to have shared with you. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have myself. And I personally believe in one thing. By the way, let me tell you this before I hand it back to Janet. Life always brings us to a certain point when our paths meet. For some of us, we have not met before. And maybe when we meet again, we can add on from here. But let me tell you the sad and hard part of life is that in some cases, we may not never meet again. That can happen sometimes. It's hard to accept, but it's the truth. But at the end of the day, I hope and pray that you have taken away something that can truly make a difference in your life in the years to come. God bless you and best wishes. Back to you, Janet.
Thank you very much, Jesse. Wow, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. I would just like Phoebe to help us moderate on our questions. We're going to have maybe 2 to 3 questions just before we close our meeting. But I am so excited. I told you, when you have friends like Jesse, your life can never be the same again. So Phoebe, over to you as we wind up our session. Please moderate the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much for the amazing talk. It has encouraged me and motivated me to first head on with change and first head on with challenges. Something that we used to talk about in theory is now something that we have to actually do. And yeah, you've encouraged me to be resilient through the leadership talk that you've just given to us. Ladies, if you have any questions for Jesse, I would kindly request 1 or 2 people to raise up their hand. We may not have the time to type it out in the chat right now, but just please raise up your hand and I'll be able to pick you and you will ask your question. In the meantime, I will hand over to Janet just to wrap up and also tell us a bit about the next session. And then when we have some questions coming in, I will hand over to Jesse. So please keep the questions coming in. I will handle 3 at least, or raise up your hand. Thank you. Over to you, Janet, for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Phoebe. And wow, Jesse, wow. I'm tempted to invite you for another session because it seems like we cannot always have enough of you. I will tell you that I work with Jesse and I'm around him most of the time, but I will tell you that I never have enough of him. There's so much to learn on a daily basis. I would like to thank you so much, one, for your commitment. Whenever we invite you to speak to the young ladies in business and professional women, you are always here. You always put aside time to come and bless us. So for that, we are very grateful to God for your life and your family and everything that you are to us. Now, sorry, my network is not very good, but I'll do this really quickly. BPW is, like I had mentioned earlier, we meet and get together and sharpen the saw. Okay, and we pay membership of 150,000 Ugandan shillings a year, but I cannot compare the knowledge, the networks, and the lessons that we get from BPW, you know, to the money, not even the money that, you know, we pay for our membership. So I would like to encourage you to sign up. Next Saturday, we are having a guest speaker. This is the lady who is heading the biggest financial institution in this country. She is going to share with us a practical experience of what it is to be a leader at this point in time. You know, exactly what Jesse has shared. You are a mother, you are a wife, you are a CEO of the biggest financial institution in this country. You have stakeholders, you have the shareholders, you have Bank of Uganda, you have the customers, you have the employees, you have all this, you know, on your head. So we would like you to be a part of this, but it is going to be exclusive for paid up members. Yeah, we of course would want to have everybody there, but like we today, that leadership is about commitment, it's about discipline. We believe that what we are learning, it's important for us to share today and have this open, but next week is going to be for paid up members. So I would like to encourage you, we have the whole of this week to pay our membership for the year. It's an annual subscription, so you can be able to pay and attend next week. So I would like to encourage you, you cannot compare this to anything. The lessons that you're going to learn are going to help you to become a better person. So next week we are hosting Ann Juko from Stanbic Bank. You don't want to miss this story. So over to you, Phoebe. Kindly take us through the questions, then we can be able to close our meeting for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Janet. Ladies, I'm sure you've taken note. Jesse, this is for you or to you. As a leader, where do you draw the line between being a good leader and doing therapy at work if your colleagues are your friends during this period? This person is asking for an empath, that is, if people's pain affects you and affects the work. So where do you draw the line? I'll ask again, between being a good leader and doing therapy at work if your colleagues are your friends during this period.
Where do you draw the line? Very interesting question there. Yesterday I was doing a training for a banking institution, and someone mentioned something. Maybe I can share that experience. Hopefully it can drive the point. This lady was going to resign, okay, for certain reasons that were not disclosed. She was going to resign. She had already written her letter. So her superior got to know and also had understood later on, earlier on through some of their discussions, she had known that this lady loves a certain type of cake that is served at Sheraton. So she says, you know what, so if this lady was Phoebe, who's going to resign, I'm the supervisor, she said, you know what, let's just go out briefly. So took her to Sheraton, bought her the cake. So they start, you know, enjoying the cake, and then she says, so wait a minute, Phoebe, I've heard that you're going to resign. Is this the worst thing that has happened in your life? And so the lady began to, you know, share, of course, as she was enjoying her cake. Now she began to see things in perspective. And cut the long story short, by the time they finished that cake, that resignation letter was in pieces, and yeah, she's back. She's still working there to this hour. So what does that tell me? For me, I think, where do you draw the line? One is pain points, take time to listen. Take time to listen to your colleagues, and then draw the line between, you know, there are things you can do and there are things you cannot do. Always remember that. There are things you can do and there are things you cannot do. Do the things you can do, and then for the things that you cannot do, you can only send them to the one who can do all things, and that is God. So for me, I would think listen to the people, encourage where you can encourage, do what you can do, because at the end of the day, all of us have our pain, and we cannot bring our personal issues to the workplace. All of us, if we are to all disclose our personal pains in life, I promise you, the workplace would not be enough to accommodate it. So at the end of the day, listen to people, encourage people, be empathic, be an encourager to your friends. But I think then don't let that pain get to you. Don't let it get to you, because also in life we grow through our pain. In fact, one of the principles in life is don't take away people's challenges, because those challenges are for them to grow. I'm sure you know the story of the butterfly, that at the last stage of the butterfly, or the last cycle, it has to go through a cocoon. That is a very painful process. And in fact, one time a teacher wanted to demonstrate it physically by bringing that cocoon and the butterfly to class and said, look, students, right here, right now, we are going to see something spectacular. What I want you to take note of is none of you should dare do anything to this butterfly. Let it struggle through the process. So when the teacher was out, the butterfly was pushing. It looked like it was about to die. One student came and just got a pair of scissors and cut so that the butterfly would come out with ease. Just had he cut, and then the teacher came in and said, so tell me what happened. They said, we saw the butterfly pushing. We were so sad it was going to die in our eyes. We couldn't just look at it. We had to do something. So the teacher said, now, unfortunately, this butterfly will not live long and it will not fly far. Why? Because the push of the butterfly through the cocoon is what gives it the strength to fly. So what am I saying? Am I saying you leave people to just go into their problems? No. Be an encourager, but remember that it is through our pain points that we grow. So encourage them, do what you can do, but if there's nothing you can't do, there is nothing you can do. So do what you can do and pray for them to go through their own challenges, to go through their own pain, so that they can come out stronger and wiser on the other side.
Thank you very much, Jesse. I hope whoever asked the question has been answered. The next question is, how do we handle bosses who continue instilling fear in us even when we are doing our part?
Okay, you need to understand that there's a difference between a boss and a leader, and Janet had ably shared that. I wouldn't want to go back into that because she had done it so well. The difference between a boss intimidates, a leader inspires. A boss uses authority, a leader will just, use their platform to coach you. I know someone who was like that to me. When I was employed somewhere, there were two of them. In fact, this was such an amazing experience because I had an opportunity to work under a leader, someone who truly made me value that work. I had been in the organization for 1 year, but I didn't know the vision of the company. I promise you, I didn't know the vision. And on many occasions, I've asked people I train, I ask them, so tell me, what's the vision of your company? They can't say it. And I understand because I also worked with this organization for 1 year, I did know the vision. When this leader came and took over the role of managing director, within 6 months, that vision was swimming in my blood. I was walking all over town with so much enthusiasm and excitement because I believed I would contribute to the vision of this company. So I think we need to understand that there's a difference between a boss and a leader. Okay. We can learn from both. One, if you're working under a leader, learn what to do. If you're working under a boss, learn what not to do. But what can you do about the boss? Again, there is not much. The only thing you can do is to do your part. Just make sure you're on the right side of things. With a boss, you have no control because they use their authority. They are so power infatuated. They want to rub it into their face that they are the boss. But you see, I think it was Margaret Thatcher who said, being a leader is like being a lady. If you have to say that you are, most likely you ain't. So you don't have to tell me that you're a lady, I can see. You don't have to tell me that you're my boss. I already know that you're the one on top of the hierarchy. I know, you don't have to show me. So it's a sign of immaturity. The only thing you can do is do your part, do your work right. Because let me tell you, by the way, and you who asked that question, I'm glad you asked. Hear me out. Hear me on this. Do your part right. If that company does not see value, the world will see value in you and they will take you on. I know many people like that. I know companies that have lost resourceful people. Why? Because they had bosses who were so power hungry, they were so infatuated with authority, they did not realize that they were resourceful people in their teams. And other companies that value talent development came, looked at them and said, I think you are the kind of person we are talking about. You are the kind of person we are looking for. Someone shared that experience in that recent training. How he had a decision to take. No one in the organization was willing to take the decision. The guy paid money from his pocket to his client and then made the decision and said, you know what, if a manager cannot make a decision, then what am I doing here? At that very time, the bank came looking for someone and he happened to be the one they were looking for. That's how he went and they promoted him to the level of manager. So keep doing the right thing, the right time will come.
Wow, thank you so much, Jesse. The next question is, what are the best non-financial ways to motivate? In this case, I guess they mean to motivate maybe teammates or colleagues. What are the best non-financial ways to motivate your teammates?
Say that again. What the best?
What are the best non-financial ways to motivate teammates or colleagues at work?
Wow. This is a very rich question. Thank you for specifying that non-financial. Why? Because a study was done in the US and they actually realized that what people want most in life is not money. You know, you're thinking people want money? You will be shocked. People actually, what people need most is not money. It came out clearly. They thought money would be top of the list. Money was not anywhere close to the top. So what are some of the ways you can motivate or inspire people? You know, I like to use the word inspire because inspire comes from the spirit. It comes from inspirator. That's the full word of inspiration. Inspirator. It comes from the inside. Motivation is surface. You know, it's like taking a shower. You showered this morning, you have to shower this evening. You know, you cannot say because I showered yesterday, I am covered. No. You have to keep on doing it. So motivation does not last, but inspiration can last. How do you inspire? One way to inspire is to truly value and appreciate people. Appreciate people. Let people feel like they matter because they do. Let me tell you something. You need to respect everybody on the merit of the fact that everybody is worthy. God did not make junk. Do you understand? It's people who make junk, but God made you a masterpiece. God made everybody unique and special in their own way. So you need to value people. You need to value people. Let people feel special. It is said that everybody has a neon sign that says, make me feel special. Make people feel special. And by that, I'm not saying you flatter them. I'm simply saying be genuine. If someone has appeared looking smart, tell them. A compliment can make someone's day. Tell them that you value the contribution they make in the work that they do. Tell them, I'm so proud of what you do. I really love that you do this work with so much commitment. I don't take that for granted. Let them hear it from you. Sometimes we have been taught to believe that when we compliment people, they become complacent. No, tell people that you appreciate what they do. Then call people by name. Don't say you with that hair of pencil. No, you tell the person, you call the person by name. You know, say, Alison, good morning, Alison, how are you? I am so happy to have you today because, let people know that you care because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So remember names, use names to address people, thank people, appreciate people, make people feel special, make people feel valued, and then be personal, If you get to know that someone, okay, let me just give you a very good example. Recently, my wife, while making a comment just in passing, she said something that just caught my attention, So let me just give you an example. If she said, I feel like ice cream. Now, she's not telling me, but she has just said it. You get it? And I caught it. Now, if you are out there, you heard her saying, she didn't tell you, but she said, today I feel like ice cream. Why not go and buy it? If you know that your workmate loves a certain thing, on their birthday, wow, go and buy it and give it to them. I know a president of the United States who received a recognition of a lion, a model of a lion. And one of the people who was working for him told him, my goodness, that is a beautiful gift. I really like that gift. He said, really, you do? Yeah. So he kept it. So he kept it in his office, the president. When this guy was retiring 10 years later, he said, I have a special gift for you. You've worked with me for all these years, and I have enjoyed working with you, my friend. I have a special gift. He went and brought the other lion and said, here you are. How did he know? Did he ask him, so do you want this lion? No, because he knew. So listen to people, because listening is a great way to compliment people. Show people that they matter. I could go on as you can imagine, but let's keep it at that.
Wow, thank you so much, Jesse. This has been a very rich session, and I can tell that everyone has picked not even just one thing, but more than one thing or two. And it's been a pleasure hosting you, Jesse. You have inspired us and motivated us as young BPW. Ladies, as Janet has mentioned, we have another session next week. And if you're not excited for today, you should be actually, there's actually no reason not to be. You should be excited and expectant also for next week. We've shared some numbers in the chat. These are membership coordinators, that's Monica and Matilda. Kindly reach out to them. They will give you all the information that is there on how to join and pay up for membership in Young BPW. I will now hand over to our coordinator, Janet, and she'll wrap up for us and close for us. Thank you all for attending today. It was a pleasure hosting you, and I believe that you've learned a lot. Jesse, again, thank you so much. Before I wrap up, I'll just want to share what someone has said in the chat, that just like feedback for the session that we've just. Okay, so this is Matilda. She says,
Okay.
wow, thank you, Jesse. I've had a hard time to post, most especially on my social media platforms. I've typed posts and deleted them thinking that they are not good enough. But with this meeting, I know there is room for getting better. I refuse to be defeated and challenged by that strange voice. I'll start by posting about this session. So thank you so much, Jesse. We already see the fruits of your session. Over to you, Janet.
Okay, thank you very much, Phoebe. I didn't get the last part of what you shared because there was something wrong with my audio. But from us at BPW, Jesse, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for everything that you have been able to share with us today selflessly. And for all the ladies who have logged in this morning, we would like to thank you so much for taking off time to learn and add value to yourselves as individuals. We look forward to hosting you next week, same time, from about 10 o'clock to about 11:30. And I'm sure that we are going to learn a lot from this leadership series so that we can be able to become the better versions of ourselves. So from us, we look forward to hosting you next week, and let us use this week to pay up our membership so that we can be together next week and we can be able to still benefit from BPW as an institution. So thank you. Have a lovely, lovely weekend and stay blessed. Bye-bye.